All right, yeah. So let's move on to this because I think people are itching for us to talk about it. But Craig is looking pretty good today, huh?
You see why jokes aren't funny, guys?
Yeah. No, here's the thing: is I think jokes are funny because here's what I'm saying. Here's my take on the Shuli thing mainly, and we'll break it all down. Spend a few minutes on it. But like, clearly, yeah. Look at Craig's last year. In the last year, this is the timeline for Craig Ironheaded Coney.
Mhm.
People in his neighborhood gathered, reported him to the police. The police questioned him. His family left him, and he fled his hometown. What do you think's going on with the guy? But I'm not a cop. What am I supposed to do about it?
You guys can see my apartment behind me. It looks like an adult lives here, guys.
Until the authorities take the proper actions, what am I supposed to do about it?
Now, when you put it that way,
You know, until proven guilty, I say. So, but here is a serious comment on it. Let's say that does happen to Craig. What a crazy fantasy that would be. We'd all be stunned.
It won't happen.
Imagine, guys, how wild that would be. So imagine. Well, we should say, I guess, if you don't know, Shuli's producer was arrested for child pornography.
And like a lot of it.
It sounds like quite a bit. I don't know megabytes or any of those terms. It sounds like a lot.
Heaping piles of
yeah.
CP.
So Shuli's producer was arrested for child porn. Now, let's pretend. Let's live in a wacky upside down world. Let's pretend that happens to Craig. Like, am I supposed to know about that? You know what I mean? Like, do you think he's logging on here before the show and go, "Boof, I am wiped. You should see some of the images I've been cranking off to."
If that happened to me, though, people would come up to you and be like, "Mike, the signs were there the whole time."
Well, that's the problem, and that's what I'm trying to exonerate myself of. I'm an innocent man.
So am I. See, I got these bullshit comments from Magnesium Linoleum that says Craig is smart to keep it in real life.
That's right. Yeah. That's what you do. No paper trail.
My house is gonna get raided by the cops. Like,
hey, if you're innocent, who cares, right?
Well, just as long as my front door doesn't get broken, I don't give a shit. Like, that's always like why do you have to kick? Just knock. I'll let you in.
Yeah. Every time Craig's raided, that's what he says.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
That's
you know
right.
me by first name at this point. So, this ISO Doe guy, who, by the way, I have emailed with. So
Really?
I have had contact with this gentleman.
Oh, no.
It was funny, before the show, I mentioned that. I said, Craig was like, yeah, I've emailed with this guy because he sent me the email for Shuli's show. And Craig was like, yeah, I've emailed with him too. And I was like, you've been on that show? And he goes, what show?
That's that's not true. I would check your spam file for sure.
It is funny. I did ask Carl. I sent Carl the clip we're about to play, and I was like, did you know this guy? And he was like, oh yeah, had him over my house. So Craig, we're joking here, but I guess Carl's good buddies with him.
Yeah, someone in the comments says Carl lives 20 minutes from him.
Yeah. Carl's good friend. No, I don't think Carl's friends with him. He let him borrow his laptop once, but I don't think they're friends. Carl's like, you know what? You can keep it. See, gang, we're having fun with a little child porn scare. Why can't everyone do that? I guess is my question today.
It's a very powerful question.
So this happens right after DabbleCon, by the way.
Yeah.
And one point I will address, because I think I don't think a fair point is the wrong phrase. What am I trying to say here? I understand the logical jump here, where someone goes, if Stuttering John's producer did this, can you imagine the field day would be having?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's very fair.
Well, I can guarantee you this. We haven't watched the Shuli video yet. Stuttering John's version would be like, I had nothing to do with it. This guy sucks.
Well, Stuttering John's version would be getting off the internet like he is now. He would just run and hide.
Which is a guilty look if I ever saw one.
Yeah. So I give Shuli credit for addressing it. And I don't blame Shuli for responding this way. I guess my only question is, like, why when a controversy happens? And again, maybe I would handle it like this. This is not me shitting on him. I'm genuinely asking. When a controversy happens, why do people always, even if it's something serious like this or something like, you tweeted something that was perceived as racist, you make a video where you're like, I want to say to my friends and family know that I'm not this kind of man. And it's like, well, you don't talk like this usually. Why are you talking like this?
Well, I could kind of see it, like, especially if you're good buddies with the person and something fucking like that happens, it's gotta be.
So that's what I don't know the level of buddies they are. And I'm getting all my information from Reddit here and like YouTube comments. What I saw is that like Shuli met him via like gaming. Like they met on like Xbox or something and started talking. So I don't know if they were like good friends, but I guess working with someone like Craig, I guess I don't want to say this publicly. I wouldn't say a friend of mine. But like Craig and I have become close, even though we've only met in person a handful of times.
That's right.
Yeah. Now, do I support anything this man does? Of course not. No, and that's what I never understand. Like, that's what was always weird to me is when people like would go after, they'd play the speeches of like Meryl Streep thanking Harvey Weinstein.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, oh, you were part of the problem. Like, do you think Harvey Weinstein was walking on the sets and going, Meryl, you should see this assistant I've got. I mean, there's a real power dynamic that I'm taking advantage of here. And boy, do I go to town on this bitch.
You should see the mess I left on that ficus.
I promise her all sorts of stuff, but I make her uncomfortable and she stays silent, Anyways, see you later. Good luck on the next Oscar. Like that's what I don't get is, do you think this guy ISO Doe is going on it like I was cranking it to some young boys? Shuli, you got to see these. So the blaming Shuli I think is weird, but I think that's ultimately why you get this response. So enough buildup. Let's hear how Shuli responded to these reports.
You might remember our former producer ISO. So it's come to, well, let me fill you in a little bit on the backstory here. Last year, ISO informed me that
children can often be sexy. What's the backstory going to be?
For me, children be sexy.
The backstory, sometimes people are abused as kids and it sticks with them.
Yeah.
The backstory.
Last year, ISO informed me that him and his wife were divorcing.
By the way, his wife might be a gigantic monster.
No, you know what? That's weird. Guy's getting a divorce.
No.
How interesting. And you know how Craig leaped right in to go, maybe it's the wife.
She didn't say anything for a year?
Maybe this guy's wife's a piece of shit. Yeah, it's probably, you know what, Craig, it's probably her fault. You're right.
So you're always on your phone.
And he needed some time away to handle that. So he took.
But again, so people are like, I'm sure this is, I haven't listened much to Kevin Brennan on this. I'm sure his stance is like, how do you not know? What are you, fucking blind? Surely you can't read a room? What the fuck?
I mean, that's got to be the biggest leap of faith if you're into that stuff to be like, you want to know what I got?
Yeah, like, do you think ISO Doe is like, Shuli, I got to take some time off? Let's just say my wrist is sore. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many hints do you think this guy's leaving? I'm sure, I assume, Craig, you can speak to this. I assume it's your whole life covering up something like this, right?
No.
You're sweating bullets day and night, thinking, is someone going to find out the monstrous, villainous things I've done?
I was just trying to take care of my body by walking, and the cops got called. That's all that happened.
The whole neighborhood came to the same conclusion.
We
need to drive this man out.
I was trying to avoid a school bus, and they called the cops. They want me to walk on it.
Oh, yeah. Craig's worst nightmare, a school bus coming at him.
He took his time away. He hasn't been a part of this in any way, shape, or form for over a year.
Hold on, let me try this. You guys may notice that Casey Day has been producing a lot more, and Craig told me he was undergoing therapy. I didn't really know what it was for. Honestly, I thought it had a lot to do with the divorce and other things he was going through, which that can be serious. I understand. I didn't think anything of it, to be honest. But you guys saw Casey Day on here a lot more, and we made a lot of jokes about Craig. Honestly, I didn't see anything like this coming. I know you guys are going to make jokes about my site and everything, but truly, I didn't. This is not really the time for that kind of stuff.
One time you lean into it, you're like, I can't see shit.
Yeah, I know you guys are, listen, I know you guys are going to bring in my disability that has ruined my entire life, but this is not the time for that.
You can't get context through text messages.
All right, this is good. This is good to know. I feel like I'm in training here when I one day absolutely have to respond to something like this. Ooh, okay. That's okay. So Casey Day started taking over. Well, I noticed Craig getting a little weird. I didn't really know what was going on with him. Okay, good. I got it down, I think.
You are formally invited to come inspect my place if you'd like.
Well, of course he invites a blind guy over to do
it. Bring Justin. He'll find something.
Just me. The place is strewn with binkies and little booties.
I mean, well, let's. I do have 2 kids.
Bloodied Power Ranger underwear. And I'm like, looks like it all looks fine to me. I don't know. Are the Power Rangers still big? I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, sure you don't.
This is right after a show, right?
It's a couple days after DabbleCon, or maybe a day after DabbleCon.
Oh, I thought they did a show and then he came and went live and did this after.
That's possible. I don't know that. Yeah.
Wouldn't you bring it up on the show?
I don't know if he knew.
I
assume this is just when he found out.
I forget. Does he get into how the story?
Yeah, I think we get into some nitty gritty here. Yeah.
It's come to my attention and to all of us here that. Sorry.
And so I wish he had a wackier ringtone to go off during this very serious statement.
That is the most. Yeah, just you see lightsabers or something.
He's got a stuttering John ringtone.
Yeah,
he's giving the serious statement, and you just hear boom.
Or you just hear the guitar from the beginning of a show.
So was arrested for possession of images depicting crimes against children.
I get that's a very serious charge. I understand this is all serious, but I guess I'm just saying, if I was on a show just reading about a case like this and we were seriously talking about it, I wouldn't be like, so maybe they were good friends. I don't know, but I thought this was just a guy Shuli met online.
It being someone if they met on Xbox, it could have been 10 years ago.
Right. True. It being, and that's what I'm trying to, again, I'm sure Shuli's going to hear this and think I'm shitting on him. I don't give a fuck about any of this. I'm actually asking, legitimately, if this happened to someone I know, unless it was my best friend or something, but again, live in the crazy world where it happens to Craig.
It would be fucking nuts.
I think I would go on and be, but genuinely, if I'm talking about it seriously, I would come on and be like, guys, isn't this fucking crazy? But I don't think I would feel the need. And again, I haven't lived the situation, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I would feel the need to come on and be like, I just don't, Craig was I never saw anything like he was always good around me. Obviously, had I known, I wouldn't have had him on the show. Like, you could talk about it and put together sentences, I guess is my point.
If we had that glorious road trip to Rochester, you might get mopey afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe Shuli's response would be like, "That's my fucking friend, you asshole," or was a friend of mine. Like, I didn't see this coming, and I was shocked by it. And also, I don't know how quickly. Maybe he found out literally right before they went on. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot to fucking process, dude.
It is. I'm literally talking about the actual tone. Whereas if Shuli came on and was like, God, this is crazy, I don't know how to react to it, I wouldn't think less of him. It feels more like, I always think when people go out of their way to go on air and talk like this, it feels like a performance to me, in the sense of, again, not saying there's anything that's a lie here, but like, remember we played that video of Brendan Schaub crying about his kids.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad situation, absolutely. But Brendan pulled out his phone and said, "Let's go live."
He didn't wait to collect himself.
You know what I mean? Like, he pulled out his phone. So Shuli didn't say like, "Hey, give me a minute, I need to collect my thought." He chose to go on the air. I guess that's what I'm saying, is like, I wouldn't go on until I was ready to talk about it,
I kind of appreciate in some degree too that he just was like, all right, let's fire this up and figure it all out together.
Yeah. And this is, again, I think
the man just tweeted out a video of yours.
Who did?
Shuli.
She tweeted out a video of one?
He said, Blind Mike killing it as always. Like, this was earlier today.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, who's the video?
Let me double check here.
Guys, this is exactly how I would have handled it. Quite frankly, I think what you're seeing is raw emotion. And I think that's pretty interesting on a podcast. You don't get that a lot.
Shuli tweets out 2 hours ago, killing it as usual at Blind Mike Project. Rob Saul attempts the Kevin Brennan Stuttering John show format.
The more I look at this video, the more I think Shuli is really, what he's doing is so interesting. because you don't get raw reaction like this ever.
I think
it takes guts for him to just go on air like this.
It's very brave.
It was brave of him, yeah. No, but legitimately, I'm asking. Like, I would like, if Shuli's offended by my take on this, I would actually like to have the conversation with him of, like, why did you choose to do the episode that, like, I'm actually interested in it. I know it sounds like I'm shitting on him, but genuinely, like, I'm interested in that process, because this is always what people do in controversy. This is not just Shuli related. This is what people do in controversies all the time, whether it's something minor or something major. They go on and they're like, they talk in this very, these hushed tones, and there's just a lot of pauses, like thoughtful pauses in what they're saying, and like they're kind of trying to and I always read that as like, you're appealing to my compassion. You see what I'm saying?
Well, let's say I find out Mike Harris has this happen to him.
Yeah.
I would probably be a mess.
I got news for you. It probably is happening. Mike Harris also a creep.
No.
And he's part of this ring of creeps.
No.
That is very good show.
We're the boys, dude. We just hang.
No, they have fun. I'll tell you this. Very good show wears a lot of who they are on their sleeve, to the point where you think it's not possible for them to be as racist and homophobic and sexist as they come off. You know what I mean? Like that's the good thing about those guys is you think like in real life, there's no way they're this bad.
Yeah.
You know?
Don't go watch our last episode. That's on Patreon.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. No. So I genuinely am interested. I don't want to find out. Here's the thing. Like I don't want to find out. I don't want a friend of mine to have this happen to them and then have to respond to it. You know what I mean? So I guess that's where, like, hopefully I don't know what Shuli was dealing with that led him to do this. But that is always my reaction, where it's like, watching this, I was like, he should have had Bob and Mike on with him to talk about, like, isn't this fucking nuts? Like, we worked with this guy for however long. Like, isn't that crazy that a guy this creepy was in our midst?
Have they done a show since this?
Yeah, they had one last night that was titled like Stuttering John and Casey Armstrong or something.
They didn't talk about it at all?
I don't know. I didn't watch it. I don't know. Well, what did Shuli say again about me? What was the tweet again? Let me see how I feel about the rest of this video.
You want the first line again? That was quite.
Yeah. What was that?
This was an all-encompassing one, but killing it as usual, Blind Mike Project.
Well, you know what? The more I think about it, this is a pretty natural way to respond, and I think that's what I'm reacting to is jealousy. I don't think I would have the courage to react this way. So you make a good point, Shuli.
You have the courage to turn the camera on.
Let's see the rest of this.
I can't. I know you're saying spit it out, but I got to be careful with what I say on here because, like, our thing, our channel could be fucked up with too much detail.
Interesting. I wonder what that means.
Um,
No, I'm genuinely asking. What does that mean?
What's on the unlisted videos?
Yeah, what the hell does that mean? But here's where Shuli is in a tough spot, and I'm not just saying this because he called me a genius, but but here's where Shuli is in a tough spot where like people now are like, oh, like you didn't know. It's like, well, that's fucking crazy.
Insane.
Why would he know this about someone? I suspect, Craig, you tell me. Are you going around bragging about stuff like this?
Stuff like what?
Hmm?
Stuff like what? Like my kids' achievements?
Stuff you guys do. You and ISO Doe.
I have no affiliation with that man.
Let's start calling Craig ISO Don't.
No, I don't like that.
he was caught with.
Offending
He was
Nicole.
caught with over 6,000 images.
Why, what she said?
She said, "Now I like dark humor, but blimey."
Nicola, it's all I can do. Of course, this is going to happen to our channel. Like, come on, I'm not an idiot. I'm trying to get ahead of this thing.
I agree with her. Actually, this is crazy.
And videos. And he has pled guilty to the charges. He's currently incarcerated. And he's scheduled to be sentenced in December. I want to make sure that everybody understands, you know, there were never any signs of any of this. For those of you who have been with us from the start.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Principled uncertainty with a very funny comment. The worst part was the hypocrisy.
I don't think that was the worst part.
I mean, there are many times.
Hold on. Again, here, I guess here's ultimately what I'm saying. Is in a weird way a defensive Shuli? Like, why does he have to say there were never any signs of it? Of course not.
I don't know how I would honestly react. I think I'd be more in this camp than like, isn't that fucking nuts?
I don't know. I think I would be like, this is fucking crazy, guys. We got to talk about this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, I guess that's what I'm saying is like, you can do a serious show, but like, I would have Casey Day and David Collins on. We'd invite Carl on, and we'd probably have Matt Sanford on, you know,
Yeah.
your wife. And we'd all be like,
I don't have one of those.
guys, we didn't know. Let's just make that clear. We didn't know.
Saves the cops having to interview everyone individually.
Right. Yeah. None of us knew. We'll all make one unified statement.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to David Collins. His season finale is coming up. I recorded something for that. And also our boy Austin Ingalls was on Kill Tony.
As a participant or on the panel?
What do you think, jackass? What an asshole comment. What a way to undercut what he did.
How did his minute go?
Yeah, it was, you know what? One week it was Joe Rogan and Shane Gillis at Madison Square Garden. And the next week it was Austin Ingalls. You horse's ass.
How did it go over?
We're going to find out. So he was on the aforementioned Matt Rife's episode. So whenever that comes out, we'll break it down. Maybe have Austin on. We'll talk about it.
That would actually, yeah, we should. Just tell him
Yeah.
no iced coffee allowed.
I assume Brian Redband had the ice drops ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all right, back. But yeah, I guess that's ultimately what I'm saying is like, am I being callous here, guys, in the chat? Let me know. Am I crazy? Because that was my immediate thought when I watched it. Like, why does he have to respond like that? He didn't do anything wrong. But I don't know. Maybe I'm heartless.
You know, Iso would be producing, and you hear his kids in the background. And
Okay.
Shuli's like, I swear to Christ, he told me those were his kids.
He said they just stubbed their toe. That's why they're crying.
Yeah, Craig probably doesn't even have kids.
I have two.
Oh, I'm at school. I'm pick up at school. For who?
and he always seemed like a good dad to me. I was in total shock when I heard about this.
See, but that's where I think he doesn't know. He's like, we all, you know, his kids were always in the background. He seemed like a good dad. I don't think they were that close, right?
Well, I mean, like they might not hang out every
Right.
day, but like I talk to you quite often. We're not necessarily.
I would never in my life say you seem like a good father. I have no idea.
I'm a great dad.
Maybe. How the fuck would I know that?
Well, if you were here and you saw all the signs I allowed, you know, stuck to the fucking walls.
He did get his guy. You know what? I was over there once, and he allowed his child to eat pizza. If I remember.
Yes, I did.
That's the mark of a good dad.
And denial, I'm not going to lie. I felt like there's no way the guy that I knew never gave off any signs of anything like this, but who the fuck does?
Don't answer that.
Right. No, but that's, well, but that's true. And I guess that's ultimately my point is like, how the fuck would you know? I think maybe if I can diagnose this, Shuli knew a lot of the comments would be, because I don't get the hate of Shuli that's out there. Because it's not from like John fans. It's from people who hate John, but also hate Shuli. Like there's a subreddit called Shuli's Anonymous that just shits on the guy all the time. I don't get like that degree of hatred towards him. He seems like a fine enough guy to me. But I assume he knew, like when you get that response enough, he knew people were going to be like, oh, Shuli knew this and whatever. So I guess this tone that he's having is like combating that. But like, I guess I'm just more in the school. Like Carl met the guy, had him over his house. I guess went to dinner with him. So he took a bath with him once. They're very close, these two. Carl and that's the message I want to get out there. Carl and Iso Doe were very close.
Right.
But Carl was like, yeah, pretty fucking crazy, huh? You know what I mean? Like that, I guess that's more my mentality. Unless Shuli knew this guy way better than I realize.
I mean, there's also like no relating to it. Like something of that magnitude happening to someone you're like pretty.
I'll tell you, I've imagined it.
You shouldn't.
It's run through my head once or twice.
It shouldn't.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I do understand that like until I'm in that situation, which hopefully I never am, I wouldn't know how the fuck to respond to it. But it is my always, and this is a more serious situation than the other stuff I'm talking about. But like, you know what I'm talking about though. Like when radio guys get in trouble,
Yeah.
like then they always come out and they're like, folks, I made a comment yesterday. It was an off the cuff remark that, quite frankly, I am embarrassed by. It was not my finest moment, and I'm gonna work on myself. Like, why are you talking like this?
Right.
You're a guy that made a joke about a lady's tits or something yesterday, and all of a sudden you're a guy that's talking about working on yourself. So I guess that's more what I'm responding to a situation. Like, obviously, this is much more serious than something like that. But in general, like, I don't know why, as a society, we can't have conversations about this stuff in what seems like a more natural tone.
Right. It's
Is there
fucking
more to this?
No, that was it. It's just fucked up.
It is crazy. But like, imagine that. Like, that is fucking nuts. Like, that's where I do empathize with Shuli. Is like, imagine just opening your phone one day and I don't know how often this guy produced his show or how long he was there for. But just imagine a guy you knew seems like pretty well. All of a sudden is just a fucking pedophile.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's probably he might as well have assassinated himself. Like that's basically how that happens with everyone in your life at that point.
What do you mean?
The guy basically, I don't know how to say it without getting the
Go
video.
ahead, give it a whirl.
KMS, but not the show.
Okay, gotcha.
He more or less did that.
You can't say that on YouTube without getting taken down.
No, I forget what the way.
I think I say that every episode.
Oh, maybe that's why it's always flagged.
I think I use that weekly.
Oh yeah, but
whoops.
That in politics.
Oh, okay. So unalived yourself, you're saying.
That's the yes.
That's the way the cool kids say it. Boy, do I hate that.
Unalive. I said assassinate myself.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if there's anyone in the chat because we're just on Patreon here. But do the people think I'm heartless and crazy or what?
I don't see anything like that.
Or is it just Nicola?
It's Nicola,
you're usually on my side.
On this way
How
of
dare you?
Going live, the people can change their names to whatever they want, however they want. So currently, that ISO guy's in the chat, just saying how
ISO, what's up, buddy?
Just saying how good of friends we are.
He did in our one email exchange. He said, "Say hi to Craig for me." I was like, "How do you know who Craig is?"
He did not.
He did.
I feel like Tony Soprano's mom. I'm like, he did not.
Nah, he did.
He did not.
All right. Well, very sad, but yes. Final thoughts. I don't think this means anyone at the Shuli network is. That's what we started with. So if this happened to John, I would be saying the same thing about John Melendez. By the way,
right?
If DG was accused of this or something, whoever in John's world was accused of this, and people were like, "John knew." Like, what are you, crazy? John doesn't know anything. Why would he know this?
Right.
Like you expect John to care enough about other people to read into them.
However, though, like this show and probably Carl would look at it the same way. Would great guy and everything. What a wonderful tweet. But if it was John that this happened to, would Shuli?
Oh, victory lap might be being had. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's possible. Yeah. But yeah, I don't look at that. I don't really look at it that way. I'm not saying like, oh, well, Shuli would behave this way to John, so that means I have to behave this way to Shuli. I look at it as like I see Kevin Brennan taking some kind of victory lap, and it's like, Kevin, fucking kids were fucking sex trafficked to make this fucking pervert's crank material.
Right.
And you're celebrating for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, that's where it gets weird and ugly to me, is like the Kevin Brennans of the world. But
right. And I am curious what he's going to say about it.
I think he's said quite a lot about it.
I don't imagine this story going away anytime soon either.
It'll be mentioned, but again, like, I don't think there's any problem with like joking about it, like we just did with Craig. Like I say, go for it if you want to make jokes and fuck with Shuli, whatever. Like, but in a joking way. But if you're actually saying like Shuli has to explain himself in some way, that's where I think you're fucking crazy.
Here's the thing, and I don't want to break the fourth wall here or anything,
Please.
but the reason that you can make those jokes and I don't care, is because it's not true.
Right. Sounds like an innocent guy jumping out to say that.
It is very.
Right. No, totally.
Could you imagine
agree.
how it would look if I fucking got mad and stormed off?
Now I just go right into Shuli's. I'm like, oh boy, guys.
Guys, I'm gonna get ahead of this one.
I don't know how to turn this stream off, but
I guess another goal.
All right, yeah. So those are my basic thoughts on the Shuli situation. But I don't know. We're not live, so if you guys have more questions next time, if there's something I didn't address, like people were messaging me, like, "Are you going to talk about this? Are you afraid to talk about?" I'm like, "No. Why would I give a shit?" So maybe I'm heartless because people are like, "You're probably too much of a pussy to talk about this, aren't you?" And I'm like, "No. Why would I be? I
This
don't know
current
any of these
situation?
Yeah.
Why would it affects
Here's
us?
the thing: if you're nice to Shuli, which like because I don't have a problem with Shuli,
Oh
people
yeah.
think that like I kiss his ass, or because like I do a show with Carl, people are like, "You're a Carl ball washer." I'm like, no, I just don't hate these people as much as you seem to. So
It's almost like they didn't hear the beginning of the segment where you were talking about how good of friends Carl and ISO are.
that I'm not positive that wasn't Carl's computer. Is all I'm saying.
That's
And I would like investigators. Here's what I want: investigators to do their due diligence. Is all. And if Carl's innocent, what's the harm in that? I say. No, I'm sure he's 100% innocent.
You say that unconfidently.
Guys, get that out there. Carl, and I swear to God, he is not a pedophile. So start telling everyone, not a pedophile. All right?
And that he probably didn't know about this.
Right. And that's enough of that. That's the last I'll say on it. All right, what's next?
Where do you want to go from here?